performing the activities and how we are dealing with the machine learning flow and registration of the models, all these things. And moreover, guys, this is it provides some kind of the terminologies. Okay, so rather than of course, it is involving the process. First, it is going to give us the process information, and as well as which are all the components available, process components. And at times, generally, guys, if you are designing some model, and this model should be deployed actually. Okay, there we need to have some kind of DevOps team where they are going to test the appropriate model, okay, whether we have implemented properly or not. And in addition to that, there is a certain aspect called versioning actually, the process of the versioning. All these things, they are available with the Databricks kind of thing, but what we can do is just we are making use of the convention. Okay, so like just we'll go through some kind of the examples given by the Databricks, because that is the official version where you can study and crack the certification, right? Okay, so this is how you can refer. And moreover, uh, if I am referencing this Databricks kind of thing, so let me share that article, so which is clearly explained these things actually. So we were talking about the ML flow, and which is basically the ML flow model registry with enterprise features. Here, certain terminologies are there, friends. Okay, certain terminologies are there. So where you can refer, where you can observe how the ML flow is working and how we are going to get the various models to integrate. Okay, so if you observe these things, this is a model registry where the appropriate models can be registered. But the problem here is, guys, while working with any kind of the methodology, what they have addressed here is one simple point. Let me give that. Why this ML flow registry has been introduced is a very simple point. So suppose Purna designed one model and Krishna also designed. On the same lines, he has come up with one more model, and Uma also is having some kind of the model. Now, they need to individually share the details. Like, then, okay, of course, I should get the information from Purna, and then only I can check whether this particular model, okay, assume that this is model 3, model 2, and model 1, M3 versus M1 kind of thing. So, in ML flow, what they have done is, friend, very simple. So you can maintain, okay, whatever the methodologies we are having, whatever the models we are having, as a common repository, as a centralized location. And of course, you can clearly mention the access control also, because the first thing is, while managing these kind of the valuable models, and if I'm giving these models anything, and I cannot make sure that, okay, I cannot make sure that whether these particular models, whether these particular methods still are having the same kind of the approach what I have seen. So that access control, however, it is there. And moreover, there is a concept called versioning. In general, while developing or while designing any kind of the model, you may feel that okay, this version is suitable to this kind of structured data, and I may work on the same kind of the model with some kind of the changes in the appropriate parameters. Then I can use for the semi-structured data. At the same model, I can make use for the unstructured with little changes. So there are certain versions, and of course, versioning may not always be the advanced development or adding something. Rather, one version can be suitable to one kind of the data, another version can be suitable to another kind of the data. So, like that, also we generally keep this versioning concept. So, the idea is very simple, friends. In case of the ML flow, especially while designing your machine learning models, so it is providing a platform, a common or unified platform And that particular unified platform helps us to place the appropriate models and track the versions, and of course share the appropriate models related to multiple members. So here, while sharing, just we can make use of the access control with nice table. Also, they have given that kind of thing. Let us have a look on that. So, in a single liner, what exactly this ML flow and ML flow registry helps us is just it is maintaining a kind of the centralized access mechanism where all the models, whatever we are preparing, can be kept on that particular model or repository, and you can maintain a versioning, and along with that, you can establish a kind of the access control. In a way, all the models are visible to the developers, and at the same time securely. Okay, so if suppose Krishna don't want to allow his model to be modified by somebody else, so he can clearly mention that only view permissions or certain 8 or 9 parameters are there. So you can just mention those kind of the parameters. In a way, the other members can be able to view, or sometimes Krishna may give the access, okay, so as to change the version, or so as to add some more points. So based on the appropriate eligibility or availability or authentication of those particular models, another member can interact and do the things. Okay, let us have a discussion, friends. So with respect to those kind of aspects, we are having the complete methodology. If you see here, so unified analytics platform, which is giving some kind of information, as I said, which maintains all the models as a registry, as a centralized hub for model management. So model management, as I said, all the creation of the models and maintenance of those particular models and access mechanism of those particular models, all these things, right? And now, so have a look on this, guys. What exactly this ML flow does is has the ability to track metrics, parameters, and artifacts as part of the experimentation, and which is used to package the entire models, whatever the methodologies, whatever the models we're having. Just it is packing all those particular things, and it can be reused so as to generate the projects. Okay. And of course, friends, these things can be used to batch processing or else maybe the streaming kind of aspects according to the requirement. Now have a look on this. Let us try to understand this particular process through simple diagram. So this ML flow is exactly the new venture. Okay, is the new operation related to database. Okay, so just I am pasting this thing, guys. Just I am pasting this, guys. Okay, have a look on that. So now what you can do is we'll discuss in the OneNote. Okay, just let me share that. Have a look on this, guys. Just have a look on this. 1 minute. Yes, I'm coming back. Okay, so related to this ML flow, just this diagram gives you the understanding. So as I said earlier, we are getting some kind of the tracking server where all the parameters and metrics. Okay, so how much time it has taken and space requirements, all those kind of the conventions, and various artifacts, various metadata kind of things we have used along with this model specifications. Because guys, these kind of setup, actually, this I can say as a kind of the unified platform, and where I can verify which are all the parameters and all those things I have used. Now, uh, uh, if you are referencing this continuous integration and continuous development, these particular tools helps us so as to monitor the progress of the application. Even some of the tools are there, Jenkins and all those particular tools helps us. Suppose I am having some resource, multiple resources I am having, and what is the status of resource one related to project one? Resource 2 may be involved in project 2 and project 3. Maybe they are support projects. And resource 3 again involved in project 4 and project 5. They are small projects. So now, according to this resource and connected by these kind of the projects, how we are monitoring the corresponding resource information and all those aspects. So obviously, you can handle this convention in a similar way. So if you see this development engineer, okay, where is getting the appropriate production data and as well as archived information, whereas if you are referencing this data scientist activity, he is performing some staging. Okay, in terms of data science kind of the thing, the staging might be maybe he is in the pre-processing stage, or else he may be in the modeling stage. He's getting the model, and as well as he is going to apply some kind of the metrics so as to defend, so as to observe whether our model is properly doing or not. So all these kind of the conventions are related to the data scientist perspective. Whereas this deploy engineers or DevOps engineers, their perspective is different. They want to pack everything and they want to hit that. The cluster and whatever the things, and they want to put these models live, maybe by engaging the streaming data, or else maybe they are running overnight some kind of the batch processing. They are running all these kind of things, and moreover, guys, always these particular outcomes, okay, these particular outcomes may not be the result actually. This may not be the result. What you can do is, whatever the whatever the aspects we are generating, maybe we can connect with the other streams. So suppose we are designing our application to handle the Twitter feeds. Now this is trending, no? Of course, Twitter usually gives the trending words and trending topics, but Twitter itself is now in trending, guys, in Facebook and Insta. Reason, you already expected the reason. So that means, based on these particular feeds, maybe I'm getting some kind of the information from India and similarly US and UK also. And if I want to integrate all those things, sometimes I'm getting some data as a stream, and that should be given to the another kind of the country data. So how these sentiments of the people are working, something like that we are working. So maybe your estimation or whatever the fees you have collected and worked upon, you may be giving to those things to another set of the people who want to compare, and you don't know actually where US data and UK data, how they have collected and all, but we are having only India data. How people are talking about the change of CEO, and what is the appropriate sentiments related to the people. And now this guy is putting that $8, okay, so as to get some proprietary kind of the Twitter. So something he has managed, and something he has come up with some kind of the strategy. Now, how we people are talking, and we have estimated those kind of thing, and you can directly connect these things with respect to the downstream analysis, and sometimes automated jobs. So far, if I am referencing this kind of automated jobs, earlier maybe manually micromanagements are there in general companies. So manager will observe the members, and of course accordingly, based on that particular task performance, and his performance, and how he is doing in projects, and whether he is a team player or individual player, or else how he is adding value to the appropriate products. Okay, something like that. But now what they want to do is they want to utilize these models, and they want to perform some kind of automation of the jobs. Maybe some of the aspects, like after 1 year, so every member should get some kind of the appraisal information to manager and as well as his subordinate. Okay, and then accordingly, okay, so after completion of the 23rd, how is the regularization of the attendance and all are doing now with the help of our portal and all. Similarly, we need to observe these kind of things. So maybe whatever the models we have implemented, whatever the predictions we have done, those things can be connected to the automation of the jobs and rest serving. So these are all for the sake of, if you are observing Spark and all these kind of the applications, and maybe some other .NET kind of thing, or if you want to integrate this work with, always may not be you may not get all the resources in terms of PySpark or something. So if I want to integrate, okay, so those kind of REST servicing also you can provide. Okay, so this is how you need to see the ML flow. Okay, so ML flow at this moment, what we are doing, friends, we maintain one repository, and thereafter it is moving to the developers, data scientists, and at this stage, the DevOps engineers also are observing or monitoring these things. And after getting these things should be connected to maybe as input to the other applications, or else I can make use these things as for the automation, or else it can be for the integration of. Okay, another technology. Now you see, guys, perfectly this CI or CD kind of thing or achieved in the pipeline format. So, which is the most common technique we use while performing the activities of getting the data and processing of the appropriate information. Now, going back to the other thing, understanding of this thing is important, guys, and remaining things are simple. You know, so while observing, so whatever the activities we are seeing, so the extension work. Okay, so after getting these kind of things, just to observe, discover the registered models and current stage in the model development, how the models are developed and whether those models are really doing well or not, and associated code with the registered models. And moreover, guys, here associated code, why these guys are talking is those Spark is designed in Scala, but still 90% of the projects are running on top of Python. But still, there are certain areas where optimizations can be done with the Scala, especially Scala and this Spark are running on top of the JVM actually. So at certain points, there may be a possibility of. That is the reason in certain teams, if you observe, along with the PySpark resource, we'll be having the Scala resource also. Like at any certain situations where if I want to establish a user-defined function, or maybe to be very specific, if you are observing the higher order functioning or functional programming, actually functional programming is not there in Python, guys, but entire Scala is run on top of the object orientation and as well as the functional programming. So here, what I mean to say is, at certain areas, we have to be very dependent on Scala also, especially the functional programming, higher order functions, and there the of course, while referring the functional programming, I'll cover at some point, friends. Okay, not now. So if you are observing the Scala orientation, it is a bit very interesting. So like how we are doing mathematics. While performing some kind of functionality. Similarly, the same kind as it is substituted with the Scala also, like calling the function, nesting of the functions, and maintaining of those kind of the function to notify. A simple example I can give, like so if you are referencing a kind of usage, like in case of performance aspect, suppose we are having function one and function two and as well as function three. Okay, so like if you want to perform like these kind of thing, Python won't allow. Like how we are doing one into two into three. Okay, the typical mathematical model. Whereas if I want to perform these kind of the functional programming, Scala is having excellent support, guys, because Python won't support these kind of things. But especially if you are talking about the higher order or functional programming kind of thing, so definitely these things are very much optimized with the help of the Scala. That is the meaning of code observation, because at the moment I am talking about these kind of the code observation, that particular coding, some of the aspects are very helpful and very useful while dealing with this particular optimization. So that's what we are talking about: experiment, how experiment is running, and which code we have used. Okay, all these kind of the things. And transitions, guys, there are certain aspects where at the deployment stage, maybe I may want to change. Maybe you have done all your work on the Azure, but at the client location, they suddenly asked us to change into AWS or GCP kind of thing. So those kind of the transitions also we need to take care. Okay, because that ML flow, okay, starting from the repository maintenance up to this transition models, all these things are embedded in these things, friends. And moreover, and versioning is, I said, na, like versioning is not only for the sake of, okay, maybe we have done last week some kind of the development related to a model, and this week we have done something, and maybe if I'm seeing from the third week perspective, my purview is okay. In the first week of October, we have done this much development, and the second week of October, that definitely there is a development or improvement in the corresponding model. But here versioning is not that, guys. Versioning maybe, as I said, uh, suppose I am working with pure structured data, maybe with the help of the Scoop or Hive, I am pulling some data. I'm playing with my model. Like I'm pretty sure that my model is only working on top of the relational kind of the data. So that is the version which clearly supports the database or relational kind of the models. But whereas another team is working on the same model, but their functionality is to pull the data from Twitter or these kind of the things with the help of the Flume or such kind of the tools, and their activities to handle XML, JSON, or these kind of files which are unstructured in nature. So and audio or video files or whichever. So there are two versions actually. So just don't confuse between the term version we use in a typical MS Word files or some kind of the documentation. But here the versioning is having some a different level of implementation, guys. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And if you are handling a registration of this model with different stages, and of course, ML ops, as I said, DevOps engineer, how they're having, and they need to make sure that suddenly if they're changing the client location or else the deployment model from one cluster to another cluster, like as I said, Azure to AWS or GCP, then these members should be ready to handle those kind of scripts also. Though DevOps engineer is also having some kind of the scripting to up the server and to maintain the to integrate Linux and as well as the Python orientation, all those things they're having. So these are all normal and model activities and annotations throughout the model life cycle. Because, however, in the documentation itself, you need to maintain which algorithm you are using, whether that is a classification, and if there is a classification, especially you are using random forest, why you are using the random forest. So these things should be convinced. Okay, so just like that, I cannot use support vector machine or else naive base without confirming the without clarifying, without convincing the appropriate other team members or clients also. Okay, so these are all some of the aspects where you can observe. And now it's look like this, guys. If you are observing these kind of things, how I am making use of the registered model. So here version one. Okay, so just we are making use of the timing 8:57, and as well as here after that we are having 8:59. It is under the staging process, and whereas this thing is archived, that means for the sake of generally one more point, friends, actually, and there are some kind of the baseliners or base models. Okay, so that base model is something that model is perfect, but only the thing is we are not sure that if I'm getting the all of sudden a different kind of the input. Okay, I ventured all the possibilities maybe, but later, but still I need to check that particular model for its efficiency, maybe with a brand new kind of the data set. So in that case, just I am keeping that particular model as a baseliner. Okay, this version is something like that. And version 2 and as well as version 3, guys, just after explaining or after getting these particular things, obviously we are happy with the performance of the model, then we can go to the production. Now you see this particular dashboard gives us this version is available, still this version 1 is archived, of course, and we can make use of this version, okay, so as to perform the predictions, or else that can be given to the staging process. As I said, with a brand new kind of the data set or some other kind of the inputs, so I can make use of those kind of the conventions and I can perform. And if everything is fine, then only I can okay, give a go ahead to the DevOps team so as to venture the appropriate model into the outcome. Okay, so this is how you can observe, and these kind of the parameters involve, especially if you are talking about random forest, okay, our favorite algorithm, and that is another discussion, friends, actually. Like, uh, there is one debate actually, like, classification and regression. Already we have seen as a supervised learning models, and of course, I felt that, and even Himanshu also asked me, like, okay, can you talk something on ML flow? That's what I'm pulling these kind of aspects. But what I'll do is, from the next discussion, one important point, friends, actually. So, though we are having the classification techniques like support vector machine, random forest, decision tree, and especially this decision tree and random forest, they are very flexible, friends. Moreover, decision tree classifier I can use, or decision tree regression I can use. Okay, so of course both belongs to the supervised learning, but as per our analogy, classification is different. It is giving yes or no kind of the answers. Is a binary kind of the outcome. Whereas in case of the regression, it is a kind of number data, is a count kind of outcome. Okay, there we have seen some kind of examples also. Now, if you observe, there is a concept actually here, random forest regression. Okay, that means, guys, here we are not going to, okay, we are not going to limit our understanding related to especially these two methods, friends. Decision tree classifier is there, decision tree regressor is there. Similarly, random forest classifier is there, random forest regressor is also there. And moreover, apart from these kind of the conventions, and even our k nearest neighborhood can be used for the regression. Support vector classifier is there, support vector regression is there. Okay, so that I don't want to get more confusions to you, but just to observe that, uh, especially whatever the algorithms I have mentioned in terms of SVM, decision tree, random forest, all these kind of the algorithms, though they are belonging to the classification, but still you can make use of those algorithms for the regressions also. Okay, so how it is possible and all, I will definitely scope those kind of concepts in the next week. But now the scope is like this. So here we have used our algorithm and scikit-learn, of course, which is a famous library, where though we are having the Spark MLlib, a separate library, it is still budding stage actually. Okay, so already scikit-learn is having its vast kind of the development, maybe in terms of hyperparameter tuning technique and all those kind of the conventions. Now, if you are referencing these things, it is clear that, okay, scikit-learn and all these things are parameters and some of the hyperparameters also. Okay, so number of estimators, three, I am estimating depth of the tree, random state, and this random state can be actually one point is there, friends, that seed values and random state, what it does is assume that we are having a challenge, like I'm using random forest and our Himanshu using naive bias, and Krishna is using some decision tree, assume that, and all three members are working on the same problem. Okay, we are having some input data and we are trying to implement some model, but only the difference is I am using random forest, Himanshu using some kind of naive bias, and Krishna is using decision tree. So what I need to do is I should test these particular algorithms on the same condition. So for that, I'm having a random state should be same. I cannot say that random state 42 here, and in Krishna's case it should not be 41 or 40, and in Himanshu case it should not be 35, something like that. Okay, the point here is, if you want to maintain the same environment for multiple algorithms so as to venture or test your model, it should be same. Okay, random state must be same. Like that, we have changed this estimators to 6, maximum depth from 2 to 4, because always that is the point, friends. Actually, the main why data science is still dynamic and all is, one of the important thing actually. So, like, if I am keep on raising this particular depth and as well as the number of estimators, it doesn't mean that unnecessary generation of the trees or unnecessary generation of the new nodes won't give any advantage to us. So definitely these things belongs to the hyperparameter tuning technique. Okay, hyperparameter, what it does is according to the requirement, according to the problem statement and demand of the corresponding data set, you need to observe. Sometimes it goes with the SME support. Sometimes we need to discuss with the statistician in the team. So the main understanding here is our aim is to optimize the appropriate model. So in that optimization, if you are keep on giving higher values, it never gives any optimization, friends. Higher value it is giving means all would have given 100 or 200, something like that. But that is not the case, because our data is not in the proper format, and our data is not in the pattern actually. Now we are trying to understand the data, maybe by establishing some kind of algorithms and by tuning these kind of the parameters and all. Okay. Now you see here there is one concept. If you remember, friends, actually, grid set CV is there. Okay. Have you heard about the thing, friends? Grid set CV, very useful. Research CV. Maybe some of you guys would have done some kind of research on that. If not, just have a look on it, that friends, because that grid set CV is something like, as I said, suppose I'm having some kind of multiple parameters and multiple algorithms, and what it does is it is going to generate better or optimized or best performance parameter to us. You need not do anything. Just you need to send the arguments like this. Okay, see, just we are having these kind of things, and it is going to give the best thing. Maybe the estimator 6, max depth 4, and random state 42 would give some betterment all of out of these three. Okay, so just these particular things, of course, what ML flow is doing is it is keeping all the things as a kind of pipeline, and it is trying to integrate all these aspects. Okay, maybe individually, if you see, working with various kinds of the input data and developing of the models, and as well as giving that model to the DevOps team, and that DevOps team again connecting with some other people downstream, or maybe integrating these things with some other aspects. Okay, whatever the things, we individually know that. But what exactly this ML flow does is it is keeping all these views as a common or unified, as we have seen this thing. Actually, this is a model which is a unified analytics platform. Actually, okay, this is a registry which maintained all the kinds of input data and development of the corresponding model and deployment, all that all. Okay. Now, after this, as I said, this is a pretty simple model, friends, access control. Because access control is definitely not new to the members who worked on top of this databases and data warehousing. You know, there are many people who are accessing the appropriate data or corresponding models from various sources. So what this access control in a simple thing is, I'll show you some kind of these things are known to you, no problem, and these are all okay. This is a process actually. If you see how nice they have given, is an animation kind of thing. So just you can clearly mention that okay, the admins can manage, can read, can edit. Okay, so like that, and there are certain users. Okay, just to have observation, can manage, and all the groups. Maybe I'm having some kind of the members. Okay. Accordingly, that access control is a typical controlling of user with the automation process. And now this is the one I'm talking, friends, because of course these things are common. I mean, the new member should not have any permission. Read, write, read, edit, and as well as the manage. Okay, these things are also not new for us. But in the understanding of the ML flow, definitely the left side aspect should be very clear, friends. Whether this guy is allowed to create a model. Actually, you can see this is a kind of the dashboard where initially in the Databricks proprietary edition itself, we can manage the aspects. Okay, like whether Himanshu can create a new model or whether Krishna can modify the model, all these stuff, something like that. So, just creation of the model, view model and its model versions in a list, which are suppose I have created one random forest model with the regression. as a regressor kind of thing rather than the classifier. So now I want to access all the versions of that particular model, maybe based on various kinds of input data and various kinds of the parameters. And view model details, its versions and their details, transition request, activities, and artifact download URL. Okay, so this is a pretty advanced aspect, friends. Like once the model is designed, and you want to have a complete knowledge about that particular model, okay, and how many downloads happened, and sometimes if you are clicking the website, and if you are not ordering anything also, immediately they will call us in some cases. So that means if any such kind of happenings, if I want to manage those kind of things, then these kind of things can be observed as ability. And request stage transition for a model version. This I said now, based on the appropriate things, stage transition in the sense maybe from Azure to AWS, AWS to GCP, those kind of transitions, and add a new version to a model. Because as I said, we are having only the structured data. Of course, we are performing on top of our model. Maybe the new team has been recruited so as to out and out handle this model for the unstructured or semi-structured. Then definitely they have to manage some other version of that particular model, like that update, and as well as renaming the model, transition model, versions between the stages, approve, reject, or can. These are all something like DBA kind of aspects, and modification of the permissions, and completely deletion of the model. Okay, all the model, maybe if they don't want to publish the model, and at the same time they want to reveal the appropriate mechanisms, maybe they are very underfit kind of models. Okay, what is the difference between overfit and underfit things? How can you refer the overfitting and as well as underfitting? By this time you would have known, maybe in your preparation and all. How can you do that? Let me pick a person. Mohana, can you give what do you mean by overfit of the model or underfitting of the model?
Uh,
Yeah.
Overfitting is actually
Mm.
random forest. In random forest model, as we take large data set and use subsets of data to from the
Mm.
training data, sometimes it causes a overfitting problem.
Yeah. Yeah. What
Uh,
do you mean by overfitting? Yeah, of course, not only in random forest, we can see this overfitting of the model in all the algorithms. If you are not properly managing the things, then can you give that point actually where we get that?
Actually, overfitting is
Ah,
the poor generalization of the test model because
exactly. You're right. That is the point. You are knowing, but only the thing is, like guys, overfitting in the sense the model really done in the training exactly. In the training, we are getting 90%, 92% kind of the results, but the appropriate results are drastically dropping in the testing phase actually. That means, in another way, what we can say is, as our friend said, the model is generalized actually. It is not specific, and moreover, in the training phase, I would have given only some limited classifications of the data, or limited set of the information. Suddenly, if I am giving a kind of the input altogether, a different brand new kind of the data, then definitely our model suffers a lot, because it is not having the understanding of the pattern, and it is not having any idea about that particular input what we are talking about. So definitely it is causing some trouble, friends. So trouble is simple. If you are not training your model in all the corners of the data, okay, by balancing data sets and all those kind of things, automatically it suffers with overfitting. Okay, that means in a single liner, overfit specifies that model is excellent in the training, but due to this training, within the training we are not given the entire expose of the data. Obviously, in the testing we may get the dropping of the appropriate information. But what do you mean by underfit in a different way? How can you refer that underfitting of the model? Priyadarshini? Can you explain or can you
So
give some
normally, yeah,
example?
yeah, yeah, Pawan.
Ah, ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, definitely, yeah, Pawan. Can you able to hear me?
Yeah, we
Hello?
can. We can. Yeah, yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
Priya. Yes. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So for underfitting, normally will it doesn't fit well during the training data. Well, if I can say as an example, train cross test means the accuracy are really low for the test data. Whereas,
Mm.
as we said in the previous overfitting, the training accuracy is really high and the test is really low. That
Ah,
is where
ah.
the underfitting is really low, where the test data is really having an accuracy of really low level of uh, performance metrics. So there comes an underfitting compatibility.
Yeah. Also, you mean to say that in both training and testing, we are getting measurable results. Am I right?
No, 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 no.
No.
For underfitting, yeah, the train.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, Pawan.
No, Priya. Actually, what I'm saying is, in
Mm.
overfitting, we are very clear. Testing our model is excellent, but training,
Not
when
excellent,
we got
not
some.
excellent. In overfitting, if you say the training data is really high, if it is test data is really comes under a lower level of whatever we expect, that comes the overfitting. Whenever we comes to the underfitting, the test data is really low. uh, Not test data, the train data is really low, whereas the test data accuracy is really overcomes the trains data. It's quite
No,
opposite to
no.
overfitting.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let it be. Let me clarify. So rather than pulling other members into this thing. So friends, one simple thing. Actually, in case of overfitting, we are very clear that training data as model is understanding the training data properly. We are expecting maybe 90% or 95 percentage of the data is perfectly all right. But whereas in case of the testing, unnecessarily what happened is we as we are unable to give the complete knowledge about the data, then automatically guys the testing drops actually. So dropping of that particular accuracy or whatever the predictions we are doing due to the problem of understanding the data. Okay, that means very simple point. Overfit means the training wise model performed really well, but unfortunately the training data as the model is not having any idea about that. The problem is we are unable to distribute the data in a proper way. So that is the reason why training and testing should be done rigorously before reaching this particular information to the all these things. And this guy always comes with the statistics. Okay, let it be aside. Okay, statistics and all as a proof of concept actually. So, but in a simpler terms, in a simple terms, then definitely this training and testing, training we are getting excellent prediction and excellent metrics for the model, but in testing, there is a drop in the appropriate observation. But in other way, underfit in the sense, okay, one simple point, friends. Suppose your data is demanding many things actually. Okay, no problem, Priyadashni, no issue. Okay, if the data is actually if the data is demanding a higher model, but unfortunately we are selecting a simple model. That means how can I say is suppose I am having KNN with me, decision tree with me, random forest with me. And KNN can be considered as a simple model, and which I can say as a lazy model or which is the simplest model, which is the instance based learning. But your algorithm is demanding a higher kind of the algorithms, and your model is expecting a higher algorithm, but you are selecting a simple algorithm. And that algorithm is not having the capability of understanding your patterns and the models. So in that particular case, what happens is, though you are using good training and as well as the testing, but underfitting what it does is due to the inefficiency of the algorithm you have selected, it is not at all going to perform the reality. Okay, so this is how you can observe the overfitting and as well as underfitting. But of course, these things are pretty known to us. But how do I handle the overfitting and underfitting conditions? Because that is the main challenge of any data scientist. Okay, so definitely we'll see those particular aspects in the coming days, guys. But however, as this particular thing demands the usage of those kind of aspects, I have pulled those concepts. Don't worry, I'll completely narrate those kind of how we are going to work with various models, and each and every model, what is the stack behind that, and how we are making use of that algorithm, what is the main functionality, which are all the parameters. However, I will discuss those things. Along with that, these overfit, underfit conditions, all these kind of aspects, and pre-processing techniques. Okay, however, we are going to do that. And this model registry where workflows, which is a typical admin kind of thing, friends, and he can run through which version we are running and what is the, I mean, how many versions are there. And in the production stage, those DevOps guys, if they want to run through, okay, if they want to understand, okay, whether these kind of the model, okay, is satisfying all the conditions or not, those kind of things can be verified. Okay, and finally, if you are referencing whatever the model, and if you want to make use of 1 minute, friends, okay, because I am also having some other session, and if you are referencing these things, Spark user defined functions and integration. Actually, we studied user defined functions for batch one already. We have seen like broadcast variable, all these kind of things we have seen. And if I want to make use of these particular UDFs with respect to the model performance, and I want to automate those kind of things, those aspects are also available. Okay. And this is how you can observe your ML flow client will be getting list of registered models and what exactly the model. Okay. All these kind of the conventions can be. But the problem with this is if plenty of models are there, if more number of the models are there, then we should go with this model registry. And with respect to this model registry, I can see as a dashboard. We have seen this above some kind of the dashboard long back. We have seen this thing. Okay, so this particular dashboard, what it does is all the models and all these kind of the conventions can be observed. But with the proprietary edition only, we can see. Otherwise, what you need to do is with the community edition also, you can make use of these conventions, like what is the version we are using and how many models were there. All these kind of the data we can observe. So with that, just I am stopping here, guys. So just if you need any additional contents, okay, like any other topic other than what I am teaching within the flow, so just will you can post me. Now you can ask, or else you can post me personally so that I can scope the aspects in the session, and then I will take care about my normal things. Okay, in the from the next session onwards, we'll start with. K nearest neighborhood, and as well as which are all the statistical methodologies related to that KNN, and can KNN be KNN can be utilized for the regression technique. Okay, all these things we'll study, right? That's all, friends. Any other doubts or any other topics I need to take care, especially if you want me to teach that particular topic, then I am happy to take that thing also. Okay. So, however, Deepika reached you so as to get the status, because I could not ask you the status information as directly I'm starting the session. So, just from the next week onwards, maybe Deepika will convey the information about the status also. Okay. So that's all, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you.